So what the hell happened to the sports media? Because many years ago, now it's probably 6, 7 years ago, maybe longer, I was a Sports Illustrated subscriber from the time that I was probably 13 years old to the time that I was probably 27, 28 years old, and read it cover to cover every single week. And then I unsubscribed because they decided to put Caitlyn Jenner on the cover, because I just felt like this is not athletically relevant. What does this have to do with anything? And I began to notice that ESPN was doing the same thing. I had the same experience that you did, which I would get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, West Coast time, so I could be the first person to see all the highlights. And then it became, I don't want to watch any of this stuff anymore because I'm going to get a human interest story on hands up, don't shoot, which has nothing to do with sports itself. So why do you think that it was that the athletes started to get more political, so the media got more political? Do you think it was that the media got more political and so the athletes rushed to sort of meet that moment? And why?
It's a tremendous question, and one of the things that I really grapple with in the book that I wrote. So I've spent a ton of time thinking about this issue exactly, and I think there are several threads at play. One is, I would say this, social media, all right? I think that ESPN, and I write about this some, their business started to collapse. They had 100 million subscribers. The cord is fraying. The number of kids who are subscribing, the old cable subscribers are dying off. And I think ESPN, I had this interesting conversation back in 2012 when Alabama played Notre Dame. I remember having a conversation with a lot of top ESPN executives because I used to have and still do have a really good relationship with a lot of people there, despite the fact that we've kind of gone at loggerheads at times. And their discussion at that point was, do we pay attention to what people say about our talent on social media, on Twitter in particular, or do we pay attention to the public reaction we see? And I remember having this conversation specifically about Chris Berman and Lou Holtz. And they said, everywhere Chris Berman and Lou Holtz go, they get mobbed and people love them. If you go on social media and you read what people say about them on Twitter, they're old white guys and they get crushed. And at the time, ESPN was making the argument, we think we need to pay more attention to what we see in face-to-face interaction over social media. I think as ESPN's business collapsed, they looked for salvation on social media and believed that if they made Twitter happy, if we promote the wokest people who are getting the most attention on Twitter, that will lead to success on television as well. It will combat our dying business. So I think they looked for salvation in Twitter and instead found a way to drown faster like a big rock. Because I think politics was basically a rock they were holding over their head and they thought it was a life jacket.